Marriage. Core principles of the Sista Code: support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success and emotional well-being. Core principles of the Sista Code include loyalty and trust, maintaining trust, being loyal and not betraying a fellow sister, especially in matters of relationships, personal struggles or public criticisms. No judging, creating safe spaces where women can be vulnerable without fear of harsh judgment. Standing up for each other, speaking up against injustice or mistreatment directed at another black woman. Celebrating black womanhood, honoring the unique beauty, strengths, and cultural identity of African American women. Mentorship and legacy, passing down wisdom, knowledge and cultural pride to younger generations of black women. Cultural context. The code has roots in the African American community's history of resilience during times when black women were excluded from mainstream feminist movements and faced both racial and gender discrimination. They often turned to each other for strength and support. The code emerged from shared experiences in churches, salons, families, neighborhood, and social activism. Examples in practice: speaking out when a black woman is being disrespected or erased from a narrative, promoting another sister's business, achievements or creative works, being a shoulder to cry on during tough times without gossip or betrayal, holding each other accountable with love and grace. The Sista Code versus marriage. Core principles of the Sista Code: support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success and emotional well-being. Core principles of the Sista Code include loyalty and trust, maintaining trust, being loyal and not betraying a fellow sister, especially in matters of relationships, personal struggles or public criticisms. No judging, creating safe spaces where women can be vulnerable without fear of harsh judgment. Standing up for each other, speaking up against injustice or mistreatment directed at another black woman. Celebrating black womanhood, honoring the unique beauty, strengths, and cultural identity of African American women. Mentorship and legacy, passing down wisdom, knowledge and cultural pride to younger generations of black women. Cultural context. The code has roots in the African American community's history of resilience. During times when black women were excluded from mainstream feminist movements and faced both racial and gender discrimination, they often turned to each other for strength and support. The code emerged from shared experiences in churches, salons, families, neighborhood, and social activism. Examples in practice. Speaking out when a black woman is being disrespected or erased from a narrative. Promoting another sister's business, achievements or creative works. Being a shoulder to cry on during tough times without gossip or betrayal. Holding each other accountable with love and grace. The Sister Code versus marriage. Core principles of the Sister Code. Support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success and emotional well-being. Core principles of the Sister Code include loyalty and trust, maintaining trust, being loyal and not betraying a fellow sister, especially in matters of relationships, personal struggles or public criticisms. No judging, creating safe spaces where women can be vulnerable without fear of harsh judgment. Standing up for each other, speaking up against injustice or mistreatment directed at another black woman. Celebrating black womanhood, honoring the unique beauty, strengths, and cultural identity of African American women. Mentorship and legacy, passing down wisdom, knowledge, and cultural pride to younger generations of black women. Cultural context. The code has roots in the African American community's history of resilience. During times when black women were excluded from mainstream feminist movements and faced both racial and gender discrimination, they often turned to each other for strength and support. The code emerged from shared experiences in churches, salons, families, neighborhood, and social activism. Examples in practice. Speaking out when a black woman is being disrespected or erased from a narrative. Promoting another sister's business, achievements, or creative works. Being a shoulder to cry on during tough times without gossip or betrayal. Holding each other accountable with love and grace. The Sista Code versus marriage. Core principles of the Sista Code. Support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success, and emotional well-being. Core principles of the Sista Code include loyalty and trust, maintaining trust, being loyal, and not betraying a fellow sister, especially in matters of relationships, personal struggles, or public criticisms. No judging, creating safe spaces where women can be vulnerable without fear of harsh judgment. Standing up for each other, speaking up against injustice or mistreatment directed at another black woman. celebrating black womanhood, honoring the unique beauty, strengths, and cultural identity of African American women. Mentorship and legacy, passing down wisdom, knowledge, and cultural pride to younger generations of black women. Cultural context. The code has roots in the African American community's history of resilience. During times when black women were excluded from mainstream feminist movements and faced both racial and gender discrimination, they often turned to each other for strength and support. The code emerged from shared experiences in churches, salons, families, neighborhood, and social activism. Examples in practice. Speaking out when a black woman is being disrespected or erased from a narrative. Promoting another sister's business, achievements, or creative works. Being a shoulder to cry on during tough times without gossip or betrayal. Holding each other accountable with love and grace. The Sista Code versus marriage. Core principles of the Sista Code: support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success, and emotional well-being. And there you have it, success and emotional well-being. The Sista Code, which we'll get to later on in this show. But for now, it is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. How are you feeling, people? How are you feeling? Well, I'm feeling good. It's the Motivator here. I hope you've exercised, prepared yourself for today. Forward march with intention. Oh yeah, it has been a fantastic few days. I've met some truly inspirational people. They've been truly thrilling in so many ways I cannot understate. And life is good. Let me say again, life is good. We're going upward, forward with intention. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And today's podcast will be another thrilling experience. It will be the summation of over a year's work of research to understand particular issue, particularly as it affect our women. But we'll get on to that later on. But what I want to do first of all is remind you of the last show. I think you would agree with me that our last show demonstrated what is possible when you have deep thoughts, yeah? inspired thought processes, thinking about the future, considering solutions to knotty problems. And with those solutions, gaining confidence, yeah, we're gaining even greater energy to move forward with intention. Okay. I want to give praise and respect to King Kabbalah of the ACUP, the African Continental Unity Party, Africa's only true Pan-Africanist party, which truly straddles many countries, not a single country. I want to give a big thumbs up to all members of the ACUP. Well done, well done. Keep up the good works. And I've got to tell you, is responses to my question. And if you haven't watched that podcast, I urge you to do so. I urge you to do so. He was truly an inspirational personality. With personalities such as him around, it is the future of Africa is assured. I say again, the future of Africa is assured. I am, well, I'm going to say this to you, that if you want a better future, you have to take deliberate steps. You cannot wait for someone outside of you to do it for you. How lazy would that be? You have to make those deliberate steps. Okay. And that therefore requires that you collaborate, you work with others who you may not traditionally work with, but there is a strategic objective, yeah? A strategic objective you want to achieve, which you mutually agree upon. And therefore you're able to overcome any differences, yeah, that might be before you. And what the ACUP represents, King Abad and others represent, is the ability to think big, to think beyond oneself or one's immediate network, to think about the continent wide, revitalization, retaking that which is ours, so that we can build a better future for our children's children. Well done, King Kabbalah. Well done to all of you who are members of the ACUP and all of you who are supporters of the ACUP. Together, moving forward, we will transform the future in our vision, not someone else's vision. Well done, well done. Long may you continue your great works. Well done, well done. I'm truly overwhelmed, and there are other references I'll provide to you. Those of you who wish to reach out to King Kabbalah and ACUP, I urge you to do so. Okay, I urge you to do so. Well done to them all. Well done to them all. Okay. I want to take this moment to give a few other quick announcements. Of course, you know I've had some really truly outstanding guest here on the Motivator Show. Guests who've moved you both emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. Yeah. Guests who've shown that anything is possible where you focus your mind. And if in doubt, hold someone else's hand so you can feel their energy, and together you gain greater strength to move forward with intention. That's the whole purpose of these podcasts, to encourage and to stimulate activity, yeah, forward direction with intention, yeah, to make a better future for yourself, your immediate family, your wider network, your wider community, and your societies. That's what we must aim for, a better future, okay? A future in your image and not in someone else's image, in your image. Well done to you all of you, those of you who've been inspired and not simply to sit there, but are responding, acting upon the information, yeah? Responding in a way that improves your circumstances, because you're working with others you otherwise would not work with, because there's a common aim and common purpose. A regular theme for each of these podcasts, common aim and common purpose. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well done, King Kabbalah. Well done, well done to all of you who've heard the call and understood its importance. Yeah? The power of grassroots movements. Oh yeah, wasn't that fantastic? Oh my gosh, fantastic. But what's now important, we now think about the future. I want to give another big thumbs up to Nicola Middleton, okay? Working with Dr. Carlton Brown on the UK Black Business Entrepreneurs Conference, which of course is on imminently now, of course. Yeah. I want to give a big thumbs up to them, okay? And of course, to the after party or after networking event, as it were, details I'll put up on the screen shortly. They are engaged in important work, increasing the size of the entrepreneurial class, the wealth creators, okay? But they're doing this from a moral standpoint. It's not purely greed, it's understanding you increase in the wealth within the communities, okay? I want to commend Nicola Middleton. I want to commend Dr. Carlton Brown for continue to put on the UK Black Business Entrepreneurs Conference. Yes. Well done. Well done. And long may you continue your great work. Okay. Long may you continue your great work. I know the energy, I understand the determination required for that conference to be put on year in and year out. I understand. And for that reason, we give light, we give focus to it each year that you put it on in recognition of your great works. Long may you continue to work as so. Well done. Well done. Okay. Again, there will be more details about the conference. Indeed, there'll be more details about the ACUP in the re-edited version of this live podcast. Details would appear on screen, how you can access both the main conference and indeed the post-conference event on the 28th of June. Details will be available within the edited version of this podcast, which will go out 48 hours after the end of this live transmission. But it's important though, because there's a reason why the podcast is important. Because what we're seeking to do here is to bring together, particularly people of African heritage and those in the diaspora, most certainly, together. Okay, and you recall we had an outstanding guest here. Okay. And that guest, of course, discussed with us the importance of the Pan-African Treaty of the Diaspora 2025. Okay. And the importance of that, of course, is that what it reminded us, of course, is that those of us in the diaspora who've been away from the continent for not a year or 10 years, not even for 100 years, yeah, but for millennia. Mhm. We need to reconnect with our roots. Okay. There's always an initial step I'd always recommend some of us to take. That is to consider, well, clearly Africa is in our genes, our very genes, okay? And there is always a slight uncertainty because we don't know where from the continent we actually hail from. Mhm. And that's a perfectly reasonable retort. And I get that. I get that. Okay. But you cannot let that be the reason for not going back. But if in doubt, have your genetic material analyzed. Because there is an organization, an African organization, which has the genetic material of all the African ethnicities right across the continent. I'll put it on the screen now. Yes, it is called the AfricanAncestry.com. You recall in 2025, we had the leaders of AfricanAncestry.com here in these studios. Yeah. I commend their service to you. There is the website address, AfricanAncestry.com on the screen. Okay. Make contact, request the diagnostic kit. Okay. And have your gene tested to identify where on the continent most relates to your genetic profile. And immediately you're able to identify an affinity with our ancestral homeland. You are not alone. I say again, you are not alone. Do so. It will be one of the most positive steps you would have taken in your life. I did so, and I can assure you, in discovering the truth of my genetic profile, has greatly enhanced my sense of well-being, my focus, my confidence, my determination, and many, many other positive consequences. I'm assuring you it will be an important step for you and your children, your nieces, your nephews. Do so, and you'll be surprised how it will transform your life. There you are. There you are. Okay. Again, I put additional references to this in the commentary section of this podcast, and of course, when it comes out in the edited version, you'll have details also available to you. But I commend AfricanAncestry.com to you as an organization engaged in truly revolutionary work. And as King Kabbalah made note in our last podcast, what he meant by the revolutionaries, those who seek absolute change, not compromise with the current status quo, absolute change, so we can take absolute ownership of our futures. Yes, provides that much pleasure to me. Yes, it is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The future is what you make of it. I say again, the future is what you make of it. Praise Jah, Rastafari. All righty, all righty, all righty. An aspect of the show is, of course, the lifestyle messages. I've become momentarily serious because during these past few days, since my last podcast, I've lost two persons within my networks. Okay, they died before their time. I'm not suggesting for a moment you keep hyper fit. This will not happen to you. It will. But dying before your time, you could have prevented it, and you could have contributed more to yourself, your families, and to the wider human species, human community. I say to you, we could do better. I've seen the official stats on diabetes, high blood pressure. Yeah? I've seen the official stats on cancers and fatness or obesity in the communities. Okay? And they make for uncomfortable reading, very uncomfortable reading. I want to urge you, if you're not taking deliberate steps to maintain good health and well-being, I urge you to do so. You are part of us. We urge you to do so. And together we can make the difference, because in unity is strength. So we need your strength so we can magnify it and we can move forward together. You are not alone. So we have a responsibility to maintain good health, both physical, mental, and spiritual health. But we have to take deliberate steps. What I want to share with you is a short video. And I want you to listen keenly to the professor. Listen to what the professor says, not me. Listen to what the expert says. Yeah? Listen to someone who's devoted his life to encouraging you to maintain good health and well-being. And after hearing his testimony, I challenge you to think otherwise about your lifestyle, because it's important for you to choose a healthy lifestyle. The Motivator Show, the internet's most inspirational podcast. Every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax, when possible attend a spa. I will eat healthy food. and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. London is United Kingdom's capital city. It is amongst the most cosmopolitan in the world. It possesses all possible extremes, including in wealth, cultural and religious diversities. The main causes of illness and premature death in London, like the rest of the United Kingdom, are coronary heart disease, stroke, cancers and respiratory diseases. Other key health challenges in London include tuberculosis, issues relating to sexual health, including HIV/AIDS, mental health, and drug and alcohol misuse. It is likely that these issues and diabetes and obesity will continue to be priorities over the next 10 years. As London's diverse population increases, there's also likely to be an increase in diseases which are more prevalent in some Black and ethnic minority communities, such as high blood pressure and renal diseases. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax and when possible attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. London currently has high levels of health inequalities with unacceptable variations in infant mortality and life expectancy across the capital. Tackling these issues is likely to remain a key challenge over the next 10 years. London is United Kingdom's capital city. It is amongst the most cosmopolitan in the world. It possesses all possible extremes, including in wealth, cultural and religious diversities. The causes of health inequalities are similar to those that determine health in general, including, for example, housing conditions, employment opportunities, environmental factors such as pollution, the amount of exercise undertaken, one's diet and smoking, and access to health services. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax and when possible attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. Public health priorities. Life expectancy is stalling and health inequalities are widening. After a century of increases, the decades prior to COVID-19 pandemic saw improvement in life expectancy amongst the UK population stall. For some, these improvements went into reverse. Between 2010 and 2012 and 2016 and 2018, life expectancy among women living in the most deprived 10% of areas of England fell, with the largest increases in the North East. The diseases now most prevalent within the communities include diabetes, high blood pressure, heart conditions, cardiovascular diseases, lung disease, cancers, and obesity. London is United Kingdom's capital city. It is amongst the most cosmopolitan in the world. It possesses all possible extremes, including in wealth, cultural and religious diversities. Professor Kevin Fenton, CBE. Kevin Fenton is the president of the Faculty of Public Health. He's also a senior public health expert and infectious disease epidemiologist who has worked in a variety of public health executive leadership roles across government and academia in the United Kingdom and internationally. His specialist interests are in tackling health inequalities, infectious disease prevention and control, climate justice, and urban health. Professor Fenton is the Regional Director for London in the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities within the Department of Health and Social Care. Within this role, he's also the Statutory Public Health Advisor to the Mayor of London and the Greater London Authority and the Regional Director of Public Health for NHS London. He is also the Government Chief Advisor on HIV and Chair of the HIV Action Plan Implementation Steering Group for England. Professor Kevin Fenton says, I'm a public health director. Here are 5 things you can do to improve your health. 1. Mindful and balanced eating. Nourish wisely. Eat whole, balanced meals with awareness to support energy and well-being. 2. Get outside. Be with nature. Time outside reduces stress, improves mood, and strengthens your connection to the world. 3. Stay curious, stay engaged, explore new interests, keep your mind sharp, build social contacts, and boost your happiness. 4. Get active, move it or lose it. Move daily, lift weight, and do cardio. Exercise, improve physical, mental, mood, and energy. 5. Prioritize rest and sleep. Disconnect, rest. Quality sleep supports mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall health. I choose a healthy lifestyle. I will relax and when possible attend a spa. I will eat healthy food and drink appropriate amount of water each day. I will exercise and maintain fitness. I will not be afraid of doctors and seek out medical examination when I need it. I will promote good mental health because it's important to me. I deserve to be happy. Traditional. You deserve to be happy. I say again, you deserve to be happy. I've got to say it again. You deserve to be happy. And together we can make the difference. And what I'm heartened by is the hundreds of thousands of you who've recognized that these lifestyle messages are not about me. They're ultimately, absolutely about you. Thinking and being conscious of your health and well-being, those deliberate steps you can take in order to maintain good health and well-being, and working with your neighbors, working with your network to pool your resources, to gain the facilities so you can exercise together. Yes, you can exercise by yourself and you can do it very quickly. It's not a problem, you know? If you want to go far, if you want it to be sustainable over the long term, you exercise with other people, other human beings who share with you the common aim and common purpose and understand your health is your highest wealth. I say again, your health is your highest wealth. You, no matter how many times you said no in the past to maintaining good health and well-being, you today can decide. Today, I'm going to make a difference for me. Yeah? Today, I'm going to make a difference for my loved ones. Today, I'm going to make a difference for those who come after me. I'm going to take care of my health. So what I've been heartened by is the numbers of you have responded positively, who've organised yourself in different groups right across Britain and other places across the world, understanding, working together in common aim and common purpose. It's the strength you have, because in unity is strength. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play you a short video, an example of a group of people who've come together in common aim and common purpose, understanding, working together on their health can only benefit their health, their family's health, their community's health. Oh yeah, these are great people. Ordinary people, I might add. Great people who've just made that decision that their health is indeed their highest wealth. Watch this short video of a group of people come together and watch these ordinary people, different sizes, tall, short, plump, thin, it doesn't matter. Even their children are present. Watch this. Oh my God. Come together in common aim and common purpose. Look, if the children are there. They're trying to work it. Oh, there's one young man doing it. There you go. Yeah. We take the habit into adulthood. Set them up for a good, long, healthy life. Oh yeah. You see the ball? Tall, short, plump, thin, doesn't matter. Come together, common aim and common purpose. Understanding, working together is the greatest strength. In unity is strength. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh. Trying their own facilities. Work together on their health. Exercising. Look at them, look at them, look at them. Oh yeah. That could be you. In fact, get up now. Do some exercise while you're watching this. It's only a few minutes. Come on, get up now. Do some exercise. Come on. Woo! Oh yeah. Come on, you can do it. You can do it as well. Come on now. There you are. Outstanding, look at that, huh? Moms and dads working together, maintain good health and well-being. If the children are there watching, they're taking it on board, inculcating as part of their consciousness, so take it to their adulthood. Good example, you need to do. Oh yeah. I hope not simply sitting there, I hope you're up and exercising with us. It's only a few minutes. Oh yeah. Come on now. Come on, get up. Quick exercise. There you are. Come on now. Exercise. Oh yeah. The children running around, they're having fun. Watching their mum and dad exercise. Doing it in unison. Yep, in unity is strength. Oh yeah, regardless of your social background, your education, whether you be tall or you short, the black or your white, yeah? Will you be a shanty or tree, yeah? Come on now, Even Yoruba or Igbo, yeah, it doesn't matter. Shoulder, it doesn't matter. Hey, yeah. It can be from the Caribbean, Jamaica, or Trinidad. Just exercise. Come on now. Exercise together. The unity is strength. Oh yes. That's it. Keep your heart racing, if only for a few minutes. Makes all the difference. I know we're sharing positive information, but sitting there, way ahead, you've got to exercise in a meaningful way. For you, your children, and your children's children. They will remember this. Becomes a part of your genetic memory. Who you are. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I could watch that all day and night. Yeah. Come together in common aim and common purpose. Identify that your health is indeed your highest wealth. And therefore, working together in common aim and common purpose, you're more than likely to achieve your goals. I say again, working together in common aim and common purpose, you're more than likely to achieve your goals. In unity is strength. In unity is strength. And those of you who are in South London and want a place to go to exercise, no cost. Yeah? If you wish to make a donation, that's fine, but there's no cost. You come together in common aim and common purpose, understanding, taking care of your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, will ensure that you have a long, healthy lifestyle. I want to commend to you the Countdown organization. They are a wonderful, inspired group of people. Here we are. And if you're in South London, yep, if you're in the UK, you're in South London, it can accommodate a few hours on Monday and a Wednesday, I understand. There we go. I'll put the details on the screen for you. They're there on every Monday and Wednesday between 6:30 and 8 p.m. And the address, it's 8 Tatum Street, Tatum Street in London. And that's S for sugar, E17 1TN. Or you can reach out to them via their email address, which is countdown0405 at gmail.com. And again, if you're in the UK, you could reach out and speak to them directly. That's 07960 803 588. I commend this group of people to you. I know there are other examples up and down the country, but this one just happens to be closer to where I am. But I know there are many of you up and down the country. I commend these initiatives to you. Right? It is just for you. There's no financial gain here for me. The pleasure is knowing that you've made that decision to maintain good health and well-being, good mental health, and heightened spiritual awareness. Praise Jah, Rastafari. Long may you continue your great work. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. I want to give two quick announcements, and then we'll get into the main theme for today's podcast. Some of you recall only a few weeks ago, in fact, a few months ago, we had here another inspired human being. Yeah? She's a local politician, even though she's a veiled Muslim. Mhm. She is a remarkable human being. Okay. I'm gonna give you her name. Her name is Councillor Naima Ali. Okay. And she's championed a cause, which I know you all will understand. The cause is against female genital mutilation, or FGM, where women suffer the indignity of part of their most intimate parts of their bodies are taken away from them, with ongoing impact on their general health and well-being, both physical and mental health. And there are hundreds of millions of women who've been affected. And right now, up to between 30 to 40 million girls are at risk of being mutilated in this manner. If you wish to join a campaign to save women from this indignity of FGM, okay, I urge you to join with Councillor Naima Ali. Let me put her details on the screen for you. She's no longer, I might add, the mayor of Southwark, but I've left it there because I believe she should be mayor for life. She's such a remarkable human being. Just to remind you, Unshackled Duma, which is the organization that she leads, is a Southwark-based, in other words, London-based organization that empowers women and girls, particularly from Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups, or indeed global majority groups and Muslim communities. The organization focuses on promoting self-empowerment, autonomy, and advocacy, with a strong emphasis on combating female genital mutilation, FGM. It raises awareness about this harmful effect, supports survivors, and works toward eradicating this practice. Yeah. It's an important campaign. Email address to which you wish to reach out to her, even if you've been affected by these words and you've been affected by FGM or know someone who potentially could be affected, please reach out to Naima Ali. And the email address is unshackleduma, 2, digit 2, there's on the screen, at gmail.com. I commend this initiative to you. I say again, I commend this initiative to you. Absolutely right. And I've met women who have been affected, just like Councillor Naima Halley. And I'm able, because I don't belong to a culture that has this practice, and therefore I'm on the outside. And the testimony I've received are heartbreaking. I've still got in the works a special podcast really aimed at the men, for men to discuss this subject. Okay, I had a group of men. They're still a bit wheezy about discussing in public. I have to say, we have no choice on the matter. We cannot allow another girl, another woman, to be mutilated in this manner. So I commend Councillor Naima Halley, okay, who is the global FGM champion for Action Aid. Yeah, I commend her work to you. Support her where you can. Details, again, of Unshackled Duma will be in the comment section of this podcast. Please feedback to us. We want to hear from you via the comment section. Don't go away unless you either give us a thumbs up, if you may, or indeed a comment, just so that YouTube in particular understand that this podcast information being shared is resonating with you. It is relevant to you. Oh yeah, please. Absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And another quick announcement before I go to the main theme of today's show. I want to remind those of you who are affected by what we call here in Britain the Windrush scandal. Again, you recall a few months ago, I had the Legal Beagles, yeah, who are supporting those affected by the Windrush scandal. A scandal acknowledged by the UK Home Office through an independent report was as a result of racist legislation passed by, yes, the Houses of Parliament and signed into law, yes, by the monarch, which was racially charged and caused tens of thousands of people to become stateless, illegally stateless. So, of course, the former Prime Minister has acknowledged those affected by the Windrush scandal are British. They had every right to be in this country. So, if you are affected by the Windrush scandal, here you are. Reach out to the Legal Beagles of the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic, who are based at 58 Bank Street in the West Midlands here in the UK. Postcode WV148PD. The email address is info@windrushlegaladviceclinic.com. I repeat, info@windrushlegaladviceclinic.com. Telephone number, office hours, it's 01902 382 542. I commend the work of the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic. They are engaged in very important work, supporting those who have been unjustly treated by Britain's Parliament. And I know the current Labour government would directly address this issue so the injustice will not continue. Okay, the injustice will not continue. I want to give a quick special shout out, of course, to, let me put it on the screen, there you go, to Anthony Brown, who's leading the charge for Parliament to pass a Windrush Act, so enshrined in law the rights of those who were affected by the Windrush scandal. The time for action is now. Translate our words into action. So to contact Anthony Brown, here we go. The website address is www.wdlegal.co.uk. Okay, and it's hashtag Windrush Act now. Well done, Anthony. I'll be in touch soon. Well done. Just get an update of progress made to date. Well done to you. Well done. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. All righty. It's now time for the main theme for today's podcast. So today's podcast will be slightly different. Some of you will be aware that for the past 18 months, I've been interviewing women. Yep, women. Specifically on the issues affecting women. 51% of our population. Okay? Vitally important. We understand what affects women, our women and girls. And I have to tell you, the research has been extensive. I've spoken to more than 4,200 women and girls to date, and I will continue to speak with them. Okay. There are other research I'm doing which involve men, but I want to focus on the women today. And the research has been quite revealing, and the stats surrounding women's health and well-being, social status, and other related matters. It is, well, quite challenging to digest and to accept. But actually, it is so important that we open ourselves up to reality. But I've got no axe to grind. I just want to understand the issues, to discuss them, and together we'll find solution. I say, understand the issues, to research and discuss them, and so together we can find solutions. Together we are strong, both men and women. Together we are strong. But there are many issues affecting women, and I wanted to understand how some of these attitudes and so on are formed. Mhm. So a recurring discussion that came up in my research is this idea of the sister code, or sisterhood, if you like, okay? Which, if those of you were able to watch the intro video, and at the end I'll play it again, it described the sister code, as it were. Okay? And it is fascinating how it impacts women's attitude, their vision, their views of themselves, men, and society. So the aspect of the sister code or sisterhood, which embeds a whole series of positive statements to encourage women to work together, again, in common aim and common purpose. Okay? And I completely understand. Brotherhoods is very similar. Mhm. But today, I want to give light to the women. Mhm. So, what I'm going to share for this particular show is not live appearances of women. I want you to hear the voices of women as I recorded these interviews. Okay, some were quite wide-ranging, others were short because that's because of how the responses were being received. Some were quite out there, and I'll play a few of those in the coming months, let me tell you. And some were kind of center stage because they illuminate what, in general, women were saying. Okay. So I'm going to focus particularly on those women whose views, their attitudes were center stage. In other words, they're common to the majority of women. Some of the information you'll see today or hear today may surprise you, others will not be so surprising, but it will provide an insight into the thinking of our women who we love dearly and seek their best health and well-being. Okay. Some aspect of the interview touches on health, of course, as you would expect, but also about marriage, while the intro is about marriage, okay, and society generally, okay. And the views are quite wide-ranging. And I say again, at times a little difficult to accept because you wonder, oh my gosh, really? This is how women think about these matters? But unless we are exposed to the true fruits of women and girls, we will not understand each other. If we don't understand each other, then that is a recipe for disaster. I say again, that is a recipe for disaster. So the context for each of these interviews is really to understand their attitude to key issues, okay? And the key issues really stem from health, as I mentioned, okay? Relationships amongst other women, and of course with men, uh, children, okay? Uh, and also consider marriage, as you would expect, and of course the reduced numbers of babies that are coming into our communities. Indeed, all communities, but we want to understand what's happening in our community. Okay. Okay. So here we go. I want you to listen carefully. Okay. It's a conversation. Okay. Whilst there's a whole series of questions. Okay. I try to make it as conversational as you know my style is. Okay. I try to make it as conversational, but I want you to listen keenly. Please don't judge. This is women sharing their thoughts, sharing their views honestly, and this is a safe environment. And for that reason, you can only hear their voices, you cannot see them. Okay? I want to protect their anonymity for now. If they wish to come forward and we may do a podcast with them live, that's fair enough. But for now, I didn't have their permission for that, but I have their permission to at least share this audio recording of the interviews. Okay. And I said before, it is really insightful. Okay. Do not judge. I say again, do not judge. I'm now going to put on the screen a little dialogue. There's a woman, she's tapping her drum. She is communicating to you right now. You can see on the screen, she's communicating. Yeah. She's been thoughtful, pensive. She's communicating. She's moving her fingers, making taps. She's smiling. She wants you to know it's all right to listen. Okay, it's all right to listen. Here you go. Ready? Listen keenly. The first voice you'll hear is a woman whose interview was center. Much of what she said, overwhelming majority of women I've spoken to have said much the same, are using same words or similar words. So this is why this particular audio recording is being played to you. Listen keenly. We all will learn. Here we go. All said, all said. Can I just now take you on? What about the efforts to ensure equality of opportunity for women in all spheres of public life? Or is the idea that women are disadvantaged a myth?
Are we talking about black women in particular?
Yes, black women in particular, yes.
I think when you're in the white supremacy system, it will always be at a disadvantage.
Mhm. Okay. Now, no, that's okay. No, that's a very. Let me stop there straight away. You heard what she said. If we were in a white supremacist environment where one ethnic group sees themselves as being better than others, okay, women, black women, yeah, women of African heritage are always disadvantaged. That was direct. She said it without hesitation. It is a common response to that question? Listen further. Listen further.
Direct response. I've had that response on a few
I mean,
occasions.
we
Uh-huh.
can dress it up however we want to, but
Hmm.
it will always come down to we'll always be at a disadvantage.
Okay.
Simple.
All right. Okay. That's all right. And thank you for that direct response. 'Cause I don't. It doesn't require further elaboration. Okay. That doesn't
Yeah.
require. Right. Let me just take one thing. Would you see yourself as an independent woman or feminist, or would you see yourself as a woman who who embodies some traditional roles for women and therefore traditional values for women?
Mm.
I'm a woman that doesn't give myself labels. I follow a spiritual path. I'm My focus is strengthening my connection to God and the message or what I'm ordained to do. So I don't go around calling myself a feminist, or I don't fit into any sort of clique or um area. I'm just who I am.
Okay. Okay.
I'm more concerned about my connection with God and what the message is and what life is about and why we're all here.
All
I
right.
think it's a distraction well, for me it is anyway, if I label myself. I'm a woman. We have, we're
Are there
multifaceted.
are there
Yeah.
traditional roles for women in relationship with men? Is there traditional roles, or do you see yourself as being independent and therefore self-sufficient, and therefore would consider yourself to be a feminist, someone who's really promoting empowerment for women, particularly in relationship with men?
I think we have innate roles as women. I think we're nurturers
Hmm. Hmm.
as women. And I think we will naturally fall into our feminine role when the masculine is in his masculine role. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? And when the
Right?
two are connected, I think
Yeah.
naturally we will do what we have to do in our natural innate roles.
And you don't see that as being a weakness. You see it as being natural, as you say, innate roles.
Yes,
Okay.
I pause there. You heard that. Again, this was a common response for a majority of women of African heritage. Yeah? Not associating themselves with so called feminist dogma that we're exposed to. But there were clearly few, but not associated. Yeah? Seeing themselves as just women, okay? And there's innate roles for women in relationships. Okay? The most vulnerable time for a woman is when she's pregnant with a child or has a young child and she's suckling that young child. Okay? Yeah. There's innate roles and understanding that role is essential. Okay? And to be joyous in that role. It's not weakness, it's strength. Powerful, powerful. I was powerful. But the majority of women I spoke to responded in this manner, contrary to any propaganda you might have been exposed to prior. I mean, that word is going to come up again. Listen keenly.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's very clear. Very clear. And it is interesting as you hear your elaboration on that particular question. I need to
mm.
ask you this concept I hear often from women. They refer to as being the sister code or the what's that? The women's support mechanism. What does that mean to you, first of all, the sister code, or whatever descriptor you wish to give to it? What does it mean to you?
I'm not familiar with the sister code. I'm familiar with sisterhood.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and for me, that is the black women really connecting with each other and building on each other's strengths
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
lay the foundation for the community
Hmm.
to and that foundation, when it's laid, it is almost the benchmark for future generations because we
Hmm.
are the nurturers, we are the ones who are giving birth to the babies and
Hmm.
raising them.
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
a nurturing way. So I think I've always found that when black women come together, a lot of magic happens, especially when they're on the same
Okay.
or they have the same similar mindset. So the
Yes.
sisterhood is definitely important for our community.
We pause there. You heard that. When black women come together, it's magic. You're all supporting each other. It is magic, she said. And I'm assuring you, when she said it, she had a smile on her face, yeah, in recognition that she's not alone. In unity is strength. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Let's watch this.
So descriptions I receive from 100 women is that sisterhood, support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success, and emotional well-being. Another
Yeah.
term used often is loyalty and trust, maintaining trust, being loyal, and not betraying a fellow sister, especially in matters of relationships, personal struggles, or public criticism. In other words, we always support each other. Huh? Being no judging, creating safe spaces where women can be vulnerable without fear of harsh judgment by other women. Okay.
Mhm.
Another scripture which for me is standing up for each other, speaking up against injustice or mistreatment directed at other black women.
Mm.
And last two descriptors often I've received response is celebrating Black womanhood, honoring the unique beauty, strengths, and cultural identity of African women or Black women worldwide. That's again a common theme, and of course, the obvious one is mentorship and legacy, passing down wisdom, knowledge, and cultural pride to the
Mm.
younger generation of African or Black women. Those are the
Mhm.
common themes I'm getting. Those are the responses I'm seeing. Do they resonate with you in terms of your understanding of the sisterhood?
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
But I also believe before we can get to that point, we have to do a lot of inner work and
All
be able
right.
to hold ourselves accountable.
Ooh, okay.
So
Okay.
I,
And that's why I'm playing this particular audio, because she expanded personal accountability. Yeah. A remarkable human being is this particular woman, a remarkable human being, I can assure you. She went right to the source. We must hold ourselves accountable, she said, as women. Indeed, as we, as men, must hold ourselves accountable. But she said it was a conviction. You know, I'm assuring you, if you had been there and experienced it firsthand, you have understood straight away we must take responsibility for the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And in taking that responsibility, we empower ourselves to effect change. Listen to what she goes on to say. Listen to this.
I feel like everything is definitely um, the trajectory we should be heading towards. But I feel like sometimes we jump ship and it all sounds nice, but are we doing the work behind the scenes? It's easy to say, yes, we should do this and we should, love each other and pray for each
Mhm,
other. But on the
mhm,
ground, is that what
mhm.
we are actually doing?
Mhm.
Okay, let me
So,
test that. Let me test what you're saying.
yeah,
Is the sisterhood responsible for the decline of marriage within the UK Black or African community? Would you say, bear in mind what you did describe, are we supporting each other, particularly with the relationships are hard, huh? They're hard, yeah? And
mm,
we all need others around us who can give us support so we can go through the trials and tribulations of relationship. Is the sisterhood able to support you through your relationship, or is there a tendency of the sisterhood to magnify the negative? Give some your feedback. What's your view?
um, I think where it stands now, in my experience with Black women and marriage,
Mhm.
not a lot of Black women I know are married.
I'm going to pause there. And that is a fact and profound. It is a fact and it is profound. because of the short, medium, and long-term impact that fact is having on our communities. Mhm. It is profound. But listen on, because she goes on to make other profound observations.
Indeed.
So,
The stats say
yeah.
around 24% of black women of African heritage, will actually get married in Britain. Can you imagine? The next closest ethnic
Mm,
group are white women, in our case, uh, English, Scotch, English, Scotch, Welsh, and Northern Irish. It's a plus 50%. In other
mm,
words, the next ethnic group are more than twice likely to get married as compared to ourselves. In other words, only 1 in 4 of our women will ever get married.
A pause there. Terrifying stats. In some parts of the country, it's even lower. Even lower. Those are terrifying stats. No civilization can survive unless men and women bond and work together. I say again, no civilization, no community can survive unless men and women bond and work together for life. For life. Hmm? For life. Listen on, listen on.
But
mm,
the most distressing part of the research I've found is that
mm,
up to 8% of those women will file for divorce.
mm,
Terrifying statistic. Absolutely terrifying statistic. Okay. That is a series, a podcast series, which is coming. Why are our marriages breaking down? What are the factors? How can we address those factors? It is coming. Terrifying statistic. A terrifying statistic. And when I say statistic, just to make it ensure it's clear, in other words, it's simply counting the numbers. Yeah, it's simply counting the numbers. 180 of those will end in divorce. Terrifying statistic. I'll say no more for now. I'll say no more. Listen on.
Now, question here, is that the sisterhood that is magnifying the negative experience of marriage or indeed long-term relationship? What's your experience?
we're dealing with these are recent stats.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes.
I think social media is playing a huge part in
That's a common response I'm getting. Yeah, tell us more about social media. Why is it?
Before we go into social media, because I must say that I that was a piece of learning for me. Social media's impact on women, indeed young people's attitudes and behavior. Attitude and behavior. Social media that we have no control over, to which far too many youngsters are totally exposed to and vulnerable to any piece of propaganda that is purted out through these social media platform. Mom, dad, guardians, yeah, uncles, aunties, be alert, be alert. But women and men, be alert also. The effects of social media and the propaganda that can be perpetuated through social media that can have a direct impact on yourself. And she goes on to say why she finds this a pernicious uh, pernicious platforms which are clearly having negative impact on our communities. Listen keenly.
So influential on our community in particular, and not on these other communities. And I could have mentioned the what we call here the Asian community, particularly from, in our case, the South Asian communities. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and so on, who have a 60+% marriage rate, okay, and a very low divorce rate, okay, or for East Asian communities, okay, Chinese, Japanese, and so on, okay, where we're now in the plus 70, 80%. Can you imagine? Now, these are astonishing comparisons. Level of divorce amongst those communities is significantly lower than us, but they're exposed to the same social media platforms. Why are we particularly vulnerable, do you think?
because we're individualistic. They're
Uh-huh.
collectivist. Yeah,
Let me pause there again. Her response, and this response is said in different ways by uh, hundreds of women that I've spoken to, that we are individualistic. Yep. It's a fundamental flaw, particularly in the diasporic African communities, being individualistic. Okay, particularly you don't know the people you come from. Individualistic, the roots. Yeah, so you just for yourselves. It is a deep social problem. It is a deep social problem, but raising awareness, shining a light on it, provides an opportunity for us to put our genius to work towards solutions. I see she's drumming, she's communicating with us. I can feel her drumming. I can hear the communication. She's on the screen. You see it? Yeah. Anyway, listen keenly.
with communities. So
Hmm.
they build together. They spend their wealth with each other.
Uh-huh.
The families marry their children.
Uh-huh.
So they're very
Yes.
tight knit. We're not,
Yeah.
and we are susceptible to infiltration because we're so yes, come in, yeah,
Yes.
it's free for all. But I do
Uh-huh.
feel like with social media, there's a lot of propaganda. I
Indeed.
think there's an agenda to attack the black family, the pillars of the community, the black man and black woman. It's
Mm-hmm.
constant. It's sometimes I do feel there's agenda. They'll, if you look at certain posts,
Mm-hmm.
black
Mm-hmm.
women, black men are just going at it. And sometimes I don't believe behind these images of black women or black men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe they're black. There are black men or black women. I think they're bots or there's, like I said, there's an agenda. And I think, when you hear something enough,
Mm-hmm.
propaganda, you
Yes.
start to internalize it and you start
Yes,
to
right.
believe it.
That's
So
right.
You pause there. And I've also been thinking this as well. You you see on social media channels, it's usually just us, African people of African heritage, berating other peoples of African heritage, whether on account of their gender, social class, or whatever. It's usually us doing it. She's questioned that. What she's saying is, and I've said it as well, is this real? Is this real? Are these real people, or is this computer generated? Is this the pernicious negative propaganda being propagated by those who do not have our interest at heart? Because it's not consistent, I say again, not consistent with our families, our networks, or wider communities, because we don't see that in real life. We only see this behavior on these social media platforms. So she, as a mother, as a woman, as a nurturer, yeah, as a life giver, she's questioned their authenticity. But she's also recognizing that if you're exposed to a lie regularly enough, you slowly internalize and believe the lie. Mums, dad, guardians, aunties, uncles, yes? Grandmothers, grandfathers. Social media is dangerous. Don't let our children, your your relatives, be totally exposed to social media without your filter. Let's listen on to what she says. Because this is a mother who cares, who loves her children, loves children dearly. She wants to protect. She wants to nurture them to be the best people. They can realize their own personal potential. And she could see active players out there or propagating images, ideas, which are the very antithesis, the opposite to wholesome family units. Listen on.
I feel that's what's happening. If you hear, oh, black women aggressive, black women aggressive, black women aggressive, if you start seeing,
Hmm.
interracial relations, marry out of your
Hmm.
race, blah, blah, blah. And if you start, hearing that, you know,
Hmm.
black women don't like black men don't like,
Hmm.
you start to internalize it.
Yes, yeah, propaganda, propaganda.
It's
Well said.
propaganda.
Well said you. Well said you. Well said
Because
you. Yeah.
I see, I think men are very simple creatures. They're aesthetic, they like aesthetics.
Yes.
If you look good,
Hmm.
they'll be attracted to you. I don't think it's the propaganda that's been spewed out, but again, I think social media has played a huge part
Okay.
in the
Thank
breakdown.
I'll pause it there, and to the person in the chat right now who suggests that we do not love each other, love ourselves enough. We do love ourselves enough. I say again, we do love ourselves enough. We just need to exhibit that love, show it now. It's propaganda, that negative propaganda, the bots are propagating idea that we don't love ourselves, each other enough. This is what this mother, yeah, this is what this wife, this is what this woman, this great woman says. Because she's saying that it's inconsistent with her actual life experience. What is being propagated on social media is not what she experiences, and she's questioning its authenticity. And in doing so, she will move the world. Question it, don't accept it. And to counter it, exhibit and show the love for each other. Can be challenging at times, don't misunderstand. Indeed, love is action. That's why we're doing this podcast. Love is action. Faith Jar, Rastafari. Here we go.
That's a very clear
Yeah.
response, and believe it or not, your response is in line with more than two-thirds of my respondents. Social media is
Okay.
a big factor
Yeah.
impacting negatively on our
Very.
community. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is another flag, and again, my listeners and viewers are being made aware. Thank you for what is a very clear response. Okay.
Mhm.
Now let's move on to another aspect. Again, I'm using Sister Co's sisterhood.
Yeah.
Is it having a negative impact on the number of babies that are born in our communities? Okay. What's your
The
view?
number of babies.
Yes, there's a clear decline, although there is a decline across the piece anyway, but nevertheless, in our community, there's a decline. It's been attributed initially to economic factors, which we mentioned childcare being a good example. But in our
Mm.
community, it is notable, notable. And I say our community here in the UK versus
Mm.
our communities in Africa, in the continent of Africa, where there's a growth of each size of families. Here, there's a significant decline in the Caribbean and the US. There's a decline in the number of babies being born into our communities. Okay. And there's postulations that it's a result of a narrative permeating the community,
Mm.
and it's attributed to the sisterhood, okay, being it's been a factor. What's your experience? Why do you think there's a number of babies that are declining? Is it to do with the sisterhood or not? And what would you, if not, what would you attribute it to?
I'm not sure I understand why it's been attributed to the sisterhoods. Two women
Mhm,
can't make a baby.
mhm.
Um, so
But they can affect the attitude of women to babies and relationships,
really, because my experience with
right?
um, uh, women that I know or women that they know is that
Hmm.
a lot of women are seeking relationships to start
Hmm.
families are
Hmm.
and are in fear of not of getting to a certain age where it may be too late for them.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not. sure where that narrative is coming from in terms of it's the sisterhood that's attributing to the decline in babies being born. So it
Right?
doesn't marry up with my experience in terms of I know women who want more babies, who've had babies but want more babies, or who don't have babies and want babies. So
Okay. What about the
yeah.
relationship with men, of course? Okay, because it does appear, this is an interesting stat, that
Mm.
for every 100 men, particularly young men I've spoken to, um, we have up in the 80s and 90% who were forced to be fathers. They didn't.
Forced
They
to be
were
fathers.
having fun, having fun.
Yeah.
Um, that fun led to an unwanted pregnancy, and the general response I'm getting is that they were told there was adequate contraceptive in place, and therefore they didn't require additional contraceptive for themselves. And they've therefore been compelled to be fathers, and this is a source of the disgruntlement, particularly among young men, and fearful of young women who've might tie them in for the whole of their lives with a child that they really didn't want, particularly with that particular person at that time in their life.
Mm.
Is there a
So
narrative amongst this sisterhood that talked about these matters, um, and is it promoting healthy relationships, or is it encouraging women to have babies without thought of a relationship with dad?
so you're saying that men are saying that they've been forced into fatherhood because when discussed with the woman has uh, said that they're on contraceptive
Mhm.
and it was a lie or it was a trick. They're
Well,
not.
there's certainly there have been economical with the truth, and
Okay.
there's a separate podcast for preparing, speaking to women with children by themselves, okay, and who are
Okay.
not in a relationship, to have that honest discussion with them about the cooperation with dad at the outset. And all the indications are from the initial research. I've only had just under 300 at the moment. Overwhelming majority have said that dad didn't want it, but I wanted it, and therefore I went ahead. Yeah.
Okay. What age group are we talking about?
Age group between that's a good question, between 18 to 31.
I'm pausing there for a moment because this is a biggie. This is a biggie, and I had not expected uh, that observation come out of this research. Okay. The numbers of women who not fully grasp the importance of dads wanting to be fathers. Mm, okay. And it is an interesting one. But of course, we're in a new age now in which women's autonomy needs to be respected and should be respected. Okay. But I say to young men right now, uh, if you don't want a baby, you need to take your own steps. Do not be naive. I say again, if you don't want a baby, you need to take your own steps to avoid a baby being the result of you having fun. But I'm interested, very interested to hear from young women. As I said, it's coming in a few months' time, but I have enough data from which to do some analysis and extrapolation from. Okay. But at the moment, the majority appear to be situations in which mum has decided to go ahead regardless of the views of dad. Yes, they're not baby father or anything like that. Dads, regardless, regardless of the social implications, that presents for them and society. Listen on, listen on.
Okay, I couldn't really speak on that age group
Okay,
because
fair enough.
we're talking about millennials now, so they're different.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
sure how relationships I know is different now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this that generation have been born into the internet and internet dating, and
Mm-hmm.
so
That's right.
it's it's a swipe culture. It's I've got more options than I believe like than you actually have, and so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it inflates egos and yeah, a lot of narcissistic behavior. But
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of relationship issues in that age group, but I
Yes.
can't really
Yes.
speak on that because I'm not in that age group.
It's okay. And do you have a comment? Because this comes up as a supplemental question. Women dressing provocatively, supposedly for other women, but actually to attract male attention, as we are visual creatures, and they're so provocative, and they give up their intimates
Mm.
so readily that it then devalues a long-term relationship. 'Cause they've given up their greatest treasures. Okay,
Mm.
is that a discussion amongst the sisterhood that women are concerned about? That in fact the relationships are declining because standards or expectations are too low?
I think it's a chicken and the egg
Okay,
question
all right.
again. But if you have women or girls who are being brought up in single parent homes,
Mhm.
predominantly mothers, and there isn't a
Yes,
father figure there that's
indeed.
going to be that dominant figure, that
Yes,
male role model, so they know
yes,
what to aspire to when they're looking for a
yes,
mate.
yes.
Right? Um, for example, with my dad, who's not in this country, a gentleman wanted to, this was when I was younger, he wanted to take me on a date. My
All
dad
right.
sent a chaperone. He had to ask my dad for a date with me, and my dad sent a chaperone with us.
Oh,
So, I mean, it sounds archaic, but
it was the right thing
that's
to do.
this
Yes,
is
yes,
what, so
absolutely.
one when I'm older, because of this is my experience. My dad
Yes,
is
yes,
the patriarch of the family. You
absolutely.
couldn't come to me on the street and ask me for my digits. It's just not going to
Hmm.
happen because my role model won't even
Yes,
allow me to go out on a date
yeah.
without the man asking him for
Hmm.
permission.
Absolutely,
So we
absolutely.
can go round and round in circles with this.
Hmm.
Why is she just promiscuous?
Hmm.
Who's raising her? What's
Yes,
going on in her household? So we can't. I
yes.
couldn't just talk on
That's
women's
fair enough. That's fair enough. Fair enough. But do you
right.
have an
So
opinion
yeah,
then?
it's
Do you have an opinion in that case then on the
what
clearly?
about women
It,
dressing
well,
promiscuously?
but if I return to women who are not in relationship but have children, okay,
Mm,
and the impact that has on the children, okay. Clearly, again, overwhelming majority of men in prison come from single mother household. Majority of boys were underperforming at schools, okay,
mm,
and suffering from psychological challenges come from single female. Also, those less able to control their emotions come from single women households.
mm,
And the stats just continue escalating.
mm,
Those stats are pretty well known. Within your sisterhood, as it were, okay,
mm.
do you not discuss these matters and therefore consider how you could support young women to make good decisions for themselves and indeed our children, as it were?
We could, but I feel like there is no real sisterhood. We're very fragmented.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's we probably, like I said, I think the generations are also divided as well.
Hmm.
Whereas we should be all together,
Hmm.
um, and passing on information and
Hmm.
knowledge and experience.
Hmm.
But it's we talk about this sisterhood, but there isn't really a sisterhood. It's quite fragmented.
Okay, okay.
So again, it's chicken and egg story. But
I
I
understand.
mean, if you're a
Hmm.
mother and you have children,
Hmm.
you should
Hmm.
have the respect for yourself and your children to dress in a
Yes.
decent manner.
Yes.
Um, and I don't think I'm not, there shouldn't be any excuse for that, whether you were brought up with a single parent or two. You should know after you have children, because
Hmm.
once you're an adult, you can make choices. We have the World Wide Web. If you
Hmm.
need to work on yourself, buy a
Hmm.
book, self-help book. I mean, it's all out there. So we have
Hmm.
choices. So yeah, I would be against. But again, if there's no sisterhood, she may not know any difference. She may not
Okay.
have positive role models around her,
Okay.
or friends around
Mm.
her to educate her or speak to her or advise her, especially if
Right.
she's attracting more of
Mhm.
who she is at that stage in her life.
Yes, in other words, dressing provocatively, most of her body's showing, it's attracting
Mm,
the wrong type of attention from men, and you're seen
yeah,
very much as being an object, as it were, you know.
yeah.
Uh, it is interesting to observe, I must say. But you speak about the sisterhood, sister code. Um, can it contribute to providing, securing an economically strong and emotionally harmonious community? Or does it need to work alongside the male equivalent of the sister code or sisterhood in order to be successful?
It needs to um, both and all of that, and yeah, both. So the sisterhood needs to be strong within itself
Mhm.
before it can work alongside the the brotherhood. They need
Mhm.
to be strong within themselves, and when you
Mhm.
marry them together, then you've got a strong community.
Absolutely. Well said. You don't need to say any more. Well said. I was, no, no. Oh, very well said. You're right. We need to work. We need to work together. Absolutely. We need to work together. Okay. The stats are pretty stark. Again, the stats are simply counting what is fact. What is fact? That's what it is. Counting what is fact. Yeah. They're pretty stark. But raising our collective consciousness about the facts enables us to be better informed, therefore, okay, acknowledging the information, and we can begin the process of pooling our mental resources together to address these issues, to tackle them head on. I say to young men, you take that extra precaution if you do not want a child. Okay? Take that extra precaution. Do not be naive. Okay. But I say to the women, mature women, and look, she's still drumming, she's looking at us, she's communicating with us right now. Okay. You women absolutely need to take the lead on this one. Because it is women in largely who are in impoverished situations. A household led by one parent, particularly a woman, okay, is usually a household in poverty. That's the problem. And it's that poverty, yeah, that leads to, of course, to deprivation, material deprivation, psychological deprivation, spiritual deprivation. It is not good for any community to be dominated by a household where it is simply a single gender. It is us working together that will make the difference. And that particular person, her views will reflect across hundreds of thousands of respondents to my questions, okay? Which is why I played hers almost in full. Not quite, there was a certain part of it, but almost in full. I think I missed out maybe another 20, 25 minutes, but we played a large part of her contribution because she was clear, she was direct, she was honest. Okay. Okay. There are a few who were not so clear, who were quite
direct with their responses. It is well. But nevertheless, there are many red flags as a result of that particular dialogue, many red flags. I want to share with you, just for a few more minutes, another woman which reflects the majority of women's attitude and views on this subject. And again, you'll find some of it, naturally concerning, because as it's apparently the views of the majority of women, and that's what I'm playing for today, okay, it provides an insight, an actual insight to the attitudes, the views of women of African heritage, Black women here in Britain. Okay, I will continue to research for the next 2 to 3 years, I believe. I'll invite women to join with me. And if you'd like to be a part of my research, I'd like to interview on a whole range of subjects, okay, I welcome your support. I'm going to put on the screen an email address. There we go. The Motivator Show email address. There you go. You've got it there. And my email address. It's themotivatorshow501 at gmail.com. If you wish to participate in my ongoing research into the views, the attitudes of African heritage women, Black women, and indeed mixed heritage women here in Britain and Europe. Okay. If you wish to participate, please contact me, contact the show via this email address, demotivatorshow501 at gmail.com. Okay, I welcome you to do so, and again, we mustn't stop learning. There's so much I've learned from this experience. I've learned a great deal, and there was some surprising attitude which I hadn't anticipated, but I'm so pleased that this research I will continue to do. There you go. Thank you. I'll put the email address in the chat on YouTube and of course on Facebook where this is going out live. Okay, but the revised information will be available in 48 hours in the re-edited version of this podcast, which will focus on this part of the podcast. Okay, but I'd like to play you another young lady's views and said it. I'm doing this because one you just heard, whilst it was very good, there were some questions which were not completely answered, earlier questions. So this young lady provides, fills in some of the gaps. There are others. Anyway, you'll see as we do
That's
this.
okay. Right, I'm ready now. Good,
You
good,
will
good.
understand what I mean by that. There are specific aspects of this podcast by this young lady which was truly inspirational and, well, revealing, if I may say so, actually quite revealing. Because unless, you create safe spaces in which people can express themselves, there's a tendency for us all, me included, I'm sure yourself, for us to hide our true views. I want you to listen to what this young lady says in response to my questions. Listen keenly.
The rainbow.
Hmm. Okay. So, would you agree with the notion that we should always believe women's account of any event or activity?
No, you should not believe anyone's account of anything.
What should you do in that case?
There needs to be authentication.
Hmm.
You need to see what is going on. You cannot just agree with one side of the story.
Hmm. Hmm.
There needs to be evidence.
Yes, yes.
You need to hear the other party.
So, are you suggesting in that case, this notion that we should believe all women is misguided? Is that what you're suggesting?
Of course, you
Okay.
do not believe all women.
Hmm.
Everybody lies at some stage or another because
Hmm.
they do not want to share the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
I cannot think of anyone that could come forth to say that I have never lied. That's a lie from the pit of hell.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's very. I'm going to
Without
move
a
on now.
shadow of a doubt.
I'm going to move on now. Oh, okay. Right then.
Everyone has lied in some way,
Of
shape,
course.
or form,
Yes. Yes. All right
without
then.
a shadow of a doubt.
All right. Let me ask another question. In that case, is the sister code then responsible for the decline of marriage within the UK Black or African communities?
Well,
Could
I'm not too
I,
sure about.
and to be clear, the reason for that question is that 80% of marriages, it is the woman that files for divorce. Yeah.
I think
That,
one of the things that you find
mhm,
is that, yes, someone will get married, they're happy and everything is great. Yes,
mhm,
after the marriage, you find, especially in black cultures, you
mhm,
find that what they want to have children to
mhm.
show that they're fertile and their lineage continues.
Yeah. Mhm.
Not a problem. But what you find is after that happens, they sort of stagnate. They go on holiday. A lot of the women,
Oh,
yes?
right. The
And
girls trips. Yes. Now, you notice how I misinterpreted what this woman was describing. They go on holiday. I just assumed she meant, well, no, they're going on girls' trip. That's what you mean, obviously. She now clarifies. She now corrects. I'm being corrected by her. Listen keenly. Listen keenly. Yes.
they go on holiday. What I mean by that is a
Mm-hmm.
sense that they let themselves go.
Okay.
Their
Yes.
focus is just the children. They forget about the man who has
Mm-hmm.
given them the
The
children.
children. Yes.
They focus on the children.
Mm-hmm.
They stop being attentive to the man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that starts the decay in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the case, please
Yes.
understand,
Yes.
but the majority of the cases are that because their main thing is they want to show to others, be it their community, their whatever
Mm-hmm.
their country, etc., their
Mm-hmm.
families, etc., that
Mm-hmm.
yes, they have a
Mm-hmm.
lineage, they have children,
Okay.
but they forget about the male aspect in this.
Yes, you've been very honest and open with us. It's interesting. If I may just probe a little further on that one, could you what you're what you're really highlighting is an aspect which I hadn't considered, and I've spoken to quite a number of women. Um, if just to pursue just a little further on this in this regard, but I specifically related this question to the decline of marriage within the UK Black community. Okay, and I think you're saying is that often the marriages are failing because women are focused on the children and and they're not paying the males as much attention, and therefore there may be a reduction in because this is a morning show. I can't use that word, but of intimate relations that may be a consequence. And
Without a shadow of a doubt.
yes, okay. Uh,
Without a shadow of doubt. We've forgotten those
mm,
things. We
okay.
focus on the children and we neglect the man.
Okay. So
Yes?
this is where the sisterhood then comes in. So should the sisterhood be reinforcing and supporting marriage, or is it a tendency for the sisterhood to magnify feelings of negativity, doubt about
I'm
the
not,
marriage?
I'm
Hmm.
honestly not sure of this sisterhood thing that you are
Okay. Oh,
referring to. I'm not
okay.
party to that.
Okay.
What I expect
Hmm.
or what I would do
Hmm.
is I ensure that my man is fully taken care of in every way, shape, and form.
Praise be.
You
Yes.
see,
Hmm.
and that is important because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, yes, you'll have children.
Hmm.
Those children will grow up and leave the home.
Hmm.
Then what are you left with? You're left with a man there. If
Yes.
that man feels neglected, even as the children are growing up, because your focus is just with them,
Mm-hmm.
the marriage disintegrates.
So
Yes,
my
because
original
you're not
question,
meeting the needs
yeah.
that is required.
So my original question, of course, is there a link between what you're saying, a link between the sister code? This is where you speak to your female friends and they don't offer support for the marriage. They magnify the negative feelings that you might have. And it's that which is referred to as being the sister code, where you're believing your sisters rather than believing the husband that you're with. Would that be a right analogy from what you're saying?
Um, well, you need to be careful with regards to this so-called sister code. Who
Okay.
is your sisters? You
Hmm.
know, because
Explain.
even
Yes.
even
Hmm.
because even as you
Hmm.
have been born from the same mother and father, you have difficulties, and it's
Yes.
not everything you believe. Let
Hmm.
alone joining yourself
Hmm.
with external people that are not your blood
Hmm.
line
Hmm.
to become
Hmm.
this so-called sister code. You
Yes.
have a lot of miserable
Hmm.
and deprived women around,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
they want to what, force that on you. And
Hmm.
many times we agree just for the sake of agreeing,
Hmm.
but we do not believe it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we need to look very carefully at those so-called sisterhood, those women who are
Hmm.
speaking into our lives, who are supposedly giving us advice,
Yes.
or we are talking to. It's
Hmm.
not every advice you take.
That's right.
It's
Yes.
not every person you speak to. There's
Yes.
some you hire and you buy. There's
Hmm.
others you spend 10 minutes speaking to. There's others that you could share a meal with.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you need to sit down and see who is coming into my life. Are they
Yes.
being a blessing or a
Yes.
curse?
Yes.
Do they want me to be like them
Hmm. Okay.
or progress?
Okay. You make
Because
really
many
excellent
because
points.
many
Yes.
time
Hmm.
many time as you're in your happy zone
Hmm.
with your husband, with your children, there's many of your so-called friends that do not like it,
Hmm. Right.
and they come and they bring doubt to you,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and that starts to cause a problem within your relationship.
Yes. Okay. I'll pause there. And this particular woman made some really powerful contributions. Okay. We are going to do this again. The materials I've gathered, I've got hundreds, indeed thousands of hours of material here of women expressing views directly. Okay. Views generally have not been expressed in public. Okay. But I've been able to gather this information and to share with you. And what you just heard was again another common retort I'm receiving, a suspicion sometimes amongst women that those, particularly those who are not in relationship, can advise to those in relationship, but then facilitate that relationship declining rapidly. Okay. This was powerful testimony. And women very rarely speak publicly on these matters, the advice they receive from other women. You know? Not usually married women, it's usually single women. Mhm. Maybe a little controversial, but I can tell you, using similar words, more than 48% of women made similar statements, very similar statements. Powerful stuff. I'm not seeing it out there in social media. I'm not seeing out there in our general discourse, listening to the voices of women, what women really think, what women really feel, and indeed better understand what women really want. You know me. We need to understand. We need to understand. So this is a start of a series that will become a podcast where we're listening to the views of women. Okay, vitally important. We'll do this once every 4 to 5 episodes. Okay, and I'll share with you the rich treasure trove of information I've gathered, which is raw information. Well, women will speak for themselves. It's not me filtering through my voice. You hear the women themselves speaking. And if you wish to be a part of this research I'm engaging, so we men can better understand you, and indeed women generally can better communicate, I urge you, please reach out to us, okay? But I'll put the email address on the screen again. The Motivator Show,
501@gmail.com. The Motivator Show 501@gmail.com. She's still tapping her drum. She's smiling. She's thinking. She's being pensive. She's communicating. She wants us to understand the giver of life. Oh, yeah. It has been for me a powerful experience, an eye opener. Currently, we're only touching the surface of what is being revealed, what is actually being revealed. It is a treasure trove. I now better understand some of the nuances of women now. I didn't understand. Look at my grand age. I didn't understand. I now better understand. Okay. We must hold women up in the highest esteem. They're a critical part of who we are as human beings. Humanity could not survive without women. And conversely, humanity could not survive without men. And so it's important for us to listen to each other, to listen. So there's much more to share. But thank you. I hope you found what has been revealed thus far useful, insightful, and will be a source for your future discussions. Because this is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. Okay, I'll let her go now. Here she goes. Oh, she's gone now. Here you go. All righty. I hope you found that very helpful. Hope you found that very helpful. Gosh. Oh, yeah, I found it very helpful. And indeed, look at that contributor in the chat. Yes, our daughters, indeed, of course, our daughters. But I hope you found information shared so far useful. There's much more to share with you. Okay, and I will relate to you what has been common, and in later podcasts, we'll then look at those on the fringes, those fringe views. But right now, I want to center on the central focus. Most certainly, the issue about men and unwanted pregnancies is a biggie. Yep, unwanted fatherhood is a biggie. Yep, but that's having direct social impact on the community. It is a fundamental one we absolutely address. A fundamental issue of concern. If you're a religious leader, you should be discussing it. Whether you're Muslim or Christian, you should be discussing this. Okay, secular organization, you should discuss this issue. We should simply not accept this situation. It's having significant deleterious or negative impact on the community. Okay. There are two other announcements I want to make before I close, and please stay with me on this one. Okay. Many of you have been aware that I've had a series of podcasts focused on Burkina Faso. I've had leaders here, the Burkina Faso community here in Britain and Europe, here on the Motivator Show. And I committed to them, I now commit to you, that we will organize a trip to Burkina Faso. And we will have the opportunity to meet great people in Burkina Faso, the land of the upright men, the honest men. And there's a particular men that we want to meet. If you wish to join us on this trip, okay, I'm going to start the process now. I already have a good few hundred, but I will start the process here live on the Motivator Show. If you wish to join us, and I'll put the details on the screen now for you. There we go. There you go. On the 26th to the 9th of February, a trip to Burkina Faso. Okay. We want to take 1,000 diasporans in particular to Burkina Faso. Okay. if this is of interest to you, I'll put the email address again on the screen. Reach out to us via this email address, the Motivator Show 501 at gmail.com. And I'm assuring you that this trip will be informative, inspirational. You'll be moved and you will meet great people. And even maybe the greatest of their people. Although I won't fall into the trap, as King Kabbalah has reminded us. Okay? But nevertheless, he remains an exemplar. President Ibrahim Traore. It is important for us to visit Burkina Faso. And I'm thanking those of you already indicated to me that you wish to accompany here, the Motivator Show, visit to Burkina Faso. Okay? Reach out to us. We'll have your details, and we'll get the arrangement made for you. But reach out now so we can prepare the way. This is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. In unity is strength. Burkina Faso, here we come. It'd be unlike any trip that you've taken to that great country. We're taking meticulous care to prepare the way. But please indicate your interest to accompany us as early as possible. Do not wait to the last possible moment. Preparation, preparation, preparation is 9/10 of success. In a few podcasts hence, we'll provide even greater details, the places we'll visit, the people we will meet, and so on. But there is a finite number that we will take. I've indicated 1,000. We've got a good few hundred already within the immediate network, within the Motivator Show. If you wish to be added to that network, please send a message on this email address, okay, with your name, your contact details, and we will follow through. A telephone number will be very immensely helpful. And together we'll make the difference and secure your future, your family's future, your friends and network future, indeed, the community future. Because in unity is strength. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we will return to this, and more details will be on the revised, edited version of this podcast. Additional details will be available on screen as well. Okay. And if I may, my last announcement, bearing in mind, of course, that I've not had the opportunity to quote this person for a little while, and I need to reach out to her, and that is Ndidi Iwechu. Okay, I'm going to put her statement on screen. And she says this: given the state of Nigeria, or indeed Africa, I think people haven't yet made the mental link that they are responsible for the kind of existence they hand over to their children. Powerful, powerful statement. We look forward to Ndidi joining us here in the Motivator Show soon. Powerful statement. Powerful statement. We're all change makers. Yeah? It's not someone outside to do it for us. You are the change maker. You will make a difference, making a conscious decision to move forward with a clear intention. There is no flinching. There's no hesitation. You are resolute in your intent. Hold the hand of others, and together we'll make the difference. In unity is strength. Praise Jah, Rastafari. And I say to you in closing, spread the words. Spread the words. Ensure your friends and your family have links to this podcast, I have to replay it again and again to absorb its content. The content this time focused on women and understanding women's views is essential if we're to create a successful community, a successful civilization. Okay, creating a space in which women can express themselves without the intimidation of other women. Okay, you know, they were said, women for the other women. Create the environment where they could speak freely, unhindered. Beautiful. I've said, just scratch the surface. There's much I have learned, a great deal I have learned. Together, we will make the difference. So I remain to you most faithfully the motivator, because I recognize working with you, we can improve all of our circumstances. So, until the next strong, I remain faithful to you. The Sista Code versus marriage. Core principles of the Sista Code: support and uplift each other, encouraging one another's growth, success, and emotional well-being. Core principles of the Sista Code include loyalty and trust, maintaining trust, being loyal, and not betraying a fellow sister, especially in matters of relationships, personal struggles, or public criticisms. No judging, creating safe spaces where women can be vulnerable without fear of harsh judgment. Standing up for each other, speaking up against injustice or mistreatment directed at another black woman. Celebrating black womanhood, honoring the unique beauty, strengths, and cultural identity of African American women. Mentorship and legacy, passing down wisdom, knowledge, and cultural pride to younger generations of black women. Cultural context. The code has roots in the African American community's history of resilience during times when black women were excluded from mainstream feminist movements and faced both racial and gender discrimination. They often turned to each other for strength and support. The code emerged from shared experiences in churches, salons, families, neighborhood, and social activism. Examples in practice. Speaking out when a black woman is being disrespected or erased from a narrative. Promoting another sister's business, achievements or creative works. Being a shoulder to cry on during tough times without gossip or betrayal. Holding each other accountable with love and grace.